again. Thank you for joining me. This is the third video in our series on learning how to navigate and how to use PrivIQ. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at the two preceding videos. In there, we covered the homepage, get an understanding of all of the features, and then we looked at building the inventory of processing in the data mapping. And then also, what we needed to do after the data mapping was complete. For example, um, um, you know, um, what we needed to maintain in the processes section, and then onto the governance area where we maintain the record of processing activities, or the ROPA, as well as the privacy notices, and then also looked at the default policies and other documents that we need to manage here before we distribute those to the employees in this section. So today what we'll do is we'll look at the data subject access requests, how we manage those responses and how we set up the online form, etc. We'd look at responses to any incidents surrounding or that might involve personal data. And then we'll also look at how we manage the controls, the ongoing management of the ongoing risk in the compliance section. Okay, so let's first look at the data subject access request. This is also one of the areas that is dependent on having your completed data mapping, and we'll see why as we're going through it. So let's just dive into DSAR, as they call it. Okay, let's start off first by understanding. So firstly, we have a request response guide. This just helps the user understand what they need to do in terms of responding to the requests. There is some customization that your web developer could do, and perhaps give the buttons on the forms the same color or the same look and feel as your organization's branding. Then with integration, what we have here is that you are able to activate an online form so that if someone wants to make it a request for access to personal data, they would click on whatever link it is that you've set up, and they will then be able to respond to activate the actual request, or present the request. Sorry. So if I click preview, it's going to show you how. So firstly, the web developer would need to copy this code. So copy the code here, and then embed that behind the link that says, how to access your personal data or something to that effect. So if I click preview, it's going to show you how that will present to the requester. So this particular account is multilingual. So there's the other 3 European languages there. And then, the person making the request can choose whatever language it is. Then they need to say, well, what is the nature of the request? So say, okay, it's I'm requesting you to erase certain of my personal data, and then this is asking to provide further details, and then what is your name, your last name, any identifying information. In some cases, it might be identity number, and then what your email address is. Confirm the email. Okay, whatever your postal address is. And then your phone number. Okay. And then what is your relationship, or what is the requester's relationship with the company? And this is why it's also useful to have your data mapping complete, because they can actually say, okay, well, I'm a past employee, or I'm an existing customer and client, or whatever the case is. Or if it's other, they can select other. So let's just leave it as a customer and client. I'm acting on behalf of myself. So how would I like to be contacted? I would say, okay, I would like to be contacted via email. I can then add any any files that are relevant to this request, and then I can click submit. Okay, and I'll see that message. What happens here is that I, as the requester, will automatically receive a copy of the form that I've just created and a copy of the published privacy notice of the company, where I'm actually making the application. So let's close that for now. Now, by me doing that, it would have automatically created a request. So those online requests would come in automatically here. And as you can see, there's one that's come in automatically. I can also, if I'm managing responses to requests, I can also add them manually because some of them might come in, telephonically or via email or whatever. And then I can actually add them manually as well here. All right, so let's just add one. And this particular one is I'm asking for certain personal information to be rectified, and or at least the requester is asking, what was the date that we received it? And this date's important because the response period will kick in. So if it's 30 days from the time you received it, the system will start counting the 30 days. And then again, let's fill in those details. It's the same requester, just by way of example, and it's customer and client. And then if I click save, uh, then it automatically creates the request. Okay, so now we've got two requests. You can actually view this, not only in this format, but you can also view it like this. And this is where you can actually download the request as well, the details of the request, and it tells you who it's been assigned to. So the request can be assigned to other individuals. Let's just change it back to the list format. So let's just go into the first one. The request can be assigned. You can reassign it here as well. And then these are all the details. So how do we respond to the request? So we can see initially we need to evaluate it. Is it legitimate? Is it actually for our company? And there might be a reason why you want to reject it. Okay, so let's just say in this case, it was someone that was wasn't asking for personal data, for example. They had nothing to do with personal data. So we'll say, yeah, this is not a data subject request, just by way of example. And when I click that, automatically I can move it to the rejected column. And if I close it, you'll see now it's sitting as having been completed. All right. So it's rejected, but the actual response is complete. And let's go into this one, which is the one I captured manually. And let's just say, well, we looked at it. It is a legitimate request. So you'll see here, there's a little star that tells me that this is a required response. So what's it saying in the data subject and the requester, if a third party has proven they are authorized to make the request, record the proof below. Okay, so this is how we proven the identity of the requester. When I tab out of here, it will allow me to move it to the next stage, which is the in progress stage. Okay, so it's now sitting in progress. And then I need to go through and respond to all of these questions. So in this case, if we responded to this one, it says we do not hold personal data of the data subject, and have informed them accordingly. Okay, and it'll move that to rejected. Let's just say that is a legitimate request. If it's going to fail, we're going to have to choose this one, the item in red. This one says it will not be rectified. It is either accurate as it stands, or there is a legal reason. We have informed the data subject. See the details below. So if I select this one and I complete the details and I put in a date, let's just say that was the 19th. Now I can move it to complete. Okay. The same thing would have happened if I had chosen the green text. That I would then be able to move it to complete. If I chose the green one, it would have meant that this particular request was successful. And that's typically how one would respond to the request. And the reason I said that the data mapping is important is because that will help you understand where the personal data of the customers are processed. Okay, And you can see here, in this case, there's a processor that's actually processing it. Okay. And it gives you enough information as to um, where it's been processed so that you can go and look for that data in order to manage the response. So that is pretty much it in terms of managing your responses to requests for access from data subjects. Okay. The next thing we want to look at is the incident response. Some people call it a breach, and some people call it an incident before it becomes a breach. Sometimes an incident, um, is containable and has no impact on the data subjects. In that case, it still remains an incident, but perhaps it's semantics. This is how you respond to an incident. We do have another incident response and reporting sitting under the risk assessments, but it's a lot more comprehensive, but that will be the subject of another discussion when we get into the risk assessments video. All right, so let's look at the data breach section. Here we've got one that's already been captured. If I take you through, so this is also, again, to reiterate, it's important to read the information in the description boxes. Let's just close that for now. So let's go through and see what this one is all about. So what I just wanted to show you first is you can see that this one was reportable, and that's why we've got the contents of the letter to or the communications with the authority. We've also got a data subject notification, I beg your pardon, data subject notification. And then we've also got one for the full incident. If it was contained and there was no need to report it, then it will only produce the full incident report. Okay, let's go through. So initially, there's some background information, talking about the ways that a breach could potentially occur, and then also, what to do in terms of containing it and recovering from it. And then we get into the real details. So you'll see at the bottom of each form, you can actually add notes or you can upload any files that might be relevant. But it's a case of getting the team together, and perhaps there's a lead investigator that will manage the response. And then what this workflow does is it prompts you to ask the right kinds of questions and gather the relevant evidence. Okay, so as we're going through, you'll see that's asking various questions about who discovered it, what type of incident occurred, and what, if anything, was stolen, etc. Have those who discovered it, have they been interviewed? That might be important. Is it necessary to inform law enforcement, etc.? Okay, so there's quite a bit that needs to be asked and answered. And then going on to, further assessing the risk, what type of data, what type of data subjects have been impacted by what are the likely causes, etc. Where did the incident happen? Was it internal? Was it external? Was it at a data processor or operator, for example? Okay. And then going on to further assess the risks. And then also, this is important, it might be the type of incident where law enforcement will prevent you from informing the data subjects. You do sometimes have that kind of situation. If in this case I had selected this, then it wouldn't show me the comms that are needed to communicate with the data subjects. Okay, so when we move to the next, based on all the input that has gone previously, this form will then help you in your communications with the regulator. Okay, this is not a letter that you would send to the regulator, but it's just the content based on the prior input. And then the next one will be the content that you could use in your communication with with those data subjects that have been affected by it. Okay, and then finally, you just do an evaluation of how that response went. Have all the things been tied up? There might be quite a bit to be done that still needs to be done before you actually get to this final stage. And then, do you need more desktop training? I mean, regular desktop training with the incident response is good because, I mean, typically they're going to happen, they'll be, sort of few and far between. And you want to keep that fresh in the minds of people that are responsible for the response. Okay, so when you finish, it produces those documents and then, you indicate what the status is. Okay, in this case, it had to be reported. Yeah, that is the um, incident and breach response and reporting. And then finally, we want to go on to, for this video at least, to go on to the compliance. So this is an area where one would need to, equally important, just like your data mapping. Um, this is where you manage your ongoing compliance, especially in the operational area, where you're going to have risks that are changing and emerging, and you want to have regular reviews of the various tasks and what the status of those tasks are. So yes, equally important section. So you have, well, at least for the GDPR template, you've got these 4 default sections. The functionality is the same throughout. The idea is to assign sections to individuals, and they in turn, so for example, let's just say the head of HR was assigned all of these sections, and then that person might then in turn go and assign tasks to certain individuals. And the way you do that is you assign the task, you'll be forced to put it in a review cycle. That's important because you don't want your compliance to be necessarily a once-off exercise, because the compliance is ongoing as well. So you assign it. If the person's not in the drop-down, then it's a simple case of adding them here. So, name, first name, last name, email address, and then what will happen is, let's just say that this particular one was assigned a review cycle of every 6 months. Then on the day before, that person will then get a notification to say, come and attend to your tasks, and then add any audit notes, upload any evidence that might be relevant, take a view on what the status is, and change it accordingly. Then that status, together with the default risk level, will help in our risk reporting that we have in the system. Okay, and we will cover that in subsequent videos as well. All right. Then you are able to add your own manually. You can actually add your own manually. And as you'll see shortly, I'm going to show you how we can add, using AI if your account is so enabled. Right. So you can actually add them manually as well. And then if a task owner changes a task to either not applicable or to complete, then the person responsible would need to come in and mark that as having been reviewed. And the reason they do that is that would then trigger, at least in the case of items that are marked as complete, it would re-trigger the review cycle. So, and then in our example, it would then set the notification 6 months hence as well. All right, so I wanted to show you how you can actually add your own checklist sections and your own and the task items in those sections, but using AI. So you can do it manually. If your account is AI enabled, then you can actually use AI to generate the task. So let's say in an example of HIPAA, I haven't added anything here. I've just given it a section name and a description. This is all you would need essentially. I mean, you can actually provide more detail, but this, the system is intuitive enough to understand that you are wanting to generate sections and tasks as they relate to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. So they definitely, in terms of data privacy, this particular piece of regulation does bear relevance as far as privacy is concerned. I'm just going to use this as an example. So what we'll do is we'll click generate, and it's got a little disclaimer there. So we'll click OK. And now you can see that, the AI is working. Okay, so we always say that within PrivIQ it's AI assisted, but it's got to be human verified. And I guess with any application that's using AI, that actually makes sense. We don't just necessarily accept blindly what the AI model puts out. Yeah. So what is done is it's suggesting that relevant to HIPAA, these are all of the sections that are relevant, and you can then go and remove any that you might feel. This is all part of the verification. You can remove any that you feel aren't relevant, and then once you're happy, then you click Add Selected. Okay, now it's popped it up here. What we can do is we can actually hide that for now. And now we can then go into each section, and then we can actually generate the tasks as they relate to each section. Okay, and I'm just going to do maybe do two sections, and I'll show you what the impact of that is. So now it's generating the task as it relates. So all of the intelligence is built in the background, and it knows exactly what we're asking for. And you can see it's come up with these tasks as they relate to scope and applicability. Okay. And here I can go in and I can edit existing, or I can remove, or I can add any new. I can change the default risk level. This is just what the AI is suggesting. I can change all of that. And now I'm going to click Add Selected. Okay, and just hide that. And then I'll go to the next one. So let's just close scope and ability. And you see it's added the six items here. So let's go to privacy rule compliance. Again, we'll generate the items. So I will cover AI in PrivIQ in a much more detailed video, but I thought I'd just show you a little bit of how it works here in the section. So I'm just going to add these. I'm assuming I've done the verification, and now I'm going to save, and I expect to see two sections under HIPAA. All right, and and then again, exactly as we saw earlier, you can go and add your own, and they operate in the identical fashion. Right, so that covers what I wanted to discuss today. Hope you find it valuable, and hope to see you in the next video again. Thank you.